You're listening to the Spirit Podcast.
Happy birthday! It's your birthday!
Welcome back to the Spirit, where we walk the strange, the sacred, and the soul deep. I'm Beck, and today, well, this isn't just another zodiac episode. This is Scorpio, the sign of death, desire, and transformation, the shadow walker, the soul binder, the one who doesn't fear the dark because it was born in it. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself from ash, if you've ever heard truth in silence, or seen through someone's mask before they spoke, you've danced with Scorpio energy. This is for the alchemists, the psychics, the fierce lovers, the secret keepers, and the ones who turn pain into prophecy. I'd also like to give a little shout out to one of my best friends, Amy, a Scorpio whose spirit still speaks through synchronicity, through memory, through firelight. This one's for you. Let's talk about Scorpio basics. Element, water. Modality, fixed. Rulers, Pluto, modern. Mars, traditional. Body rulership, reproductive system, bowels, bladder. Scorpio is water, yes, but not like Cancer's tide or Pisces' ocean dream. This is water under pressure, still on the surface, volcanic beneath. Fixed by modality, Scorpio holds tight to truths, to feelings, to loyalty, and sometimes to wounds. Scorpio whispers what others fear to name, but when they trust you, you're either family for life or a ghost in their past. Scorpio gets a reputation. Mysterious, intense, maybe even dangerous. But is it danger or depth? Maybe people fear Scorpio not because it's dark, but because it sees through them. Scorpio doesn't just feel. Scorpio transforms. Pain becomes purpose. Secrets become spells. Trauma becomes teaching. It's not easy, but it's holy. Here are some of Scorpio's greatest gifts. Deep intuition, often psychic clarity. They know what you're hiding before you do. Emotional resilience, the kind born from being cracked open and still choosing to stand. Loyalty so fierce it becomes protection. Healing instincts, not surface healing, but cellular, generational. And a love of truth that's sharp enough to cut the cords of illusion. But with that power comes shadow. Here's where Scorpio can get lost in its own labyrinth. A need for control, born from past betrayals. Obsessive thinking, especially when something feels unresolved. Suppressing emotions so long they eventually explode, or silently poison from within. And sometimes, a love for secrets so strong they hide things even from themselves. This sign holds the knife and the suture, the poison and the cure, the shadow and the torch that reveals it. Scorpios aren't dangerous because they're dark. They're dangerous because they've survived the dark. And now, they know your weakness before you do. Here's some rare insights. Scorpio's soul mission isn't to destroy. It's to compost. To turn emotional rot into spiritual gold. To be the alchemist of every story no one else wanted to carry. Have you ever met someone who had to die emotionally or spiritually before they could fully live? And what if that someone was you? Scorpio rarely comes in on an easy path. They're born into intensity. Their soul contract reads like fine print soaked in fire. If you carry this energy, you've likely walked through ancestral trauma, inheriting silence, shame, or secrets, broken trust in early life, betrayals that taught you to read energy instead of words, and power dynamics, where you were the victim until you became the teacher. Scorpios don't get the gentle initiations. They get dragged into the underworld with no map. And when they come back, they bring the light with them. Karmic themes Scorpio often carries is psychic boundaries, sexual sovereignty, alchemical grief, sacred rage and forgiveness, soul contracts with people who force awakening through pain. It's heavy, but Scorpio didn't come to be the light. Scorpio came to be true. Every Scorpio I've known was forged. Not pampered, not coddled, forged into truth tellers, edge walkers, or guardians of silence, depending on whether they chose to heal or hide. Have you ever looked at your life and realized you were shaped more by what tried to break you than what tried to love you? That's Scorpio's mirror, and it doesn't lie. Scorpio has many faces, but none of them are safe, and all of them tell the truth. You'll find Scorpio's fingerprints all over the old myths, in descent, in darkness, in transformation without permission. Scorpio's mythic echoes are Persephone and Hades, the descent into the underworld, the merging of shadow and desire, the hidden spring that awakens from within. Ereshkigal, Sumerian goddess of death and silence, ruling over the realm where falsehoods dissolve. The Phoenix, the ultimate Scorpio archetype, death by fire, rebirth by choice. The sorcerer, the exorcist, the witch. Each knows what's buried. Each walks with power that others fear but secretly crave. These aren't just stories, they're soul memories. Scorpio carries the code of sacred death. Not the ending, but the unmasking. Not destruction, but purification. This is the sign that strips away what's performative so that what's essential can live. A reminder, not all who descend return the same. Scorpio doesn't just survive the fall, it remembers who pushed them. Which part of you, listeners, still lives in the underworld? And which part is waiting to rise? Scorpio doesn't live in the surface layers of the body. It lives in the depths, the underground rivers, the pulsing, unseen systems. Scorpio rules the reproductive system, the bladder and bowels, organs of release and elimination, sexual energy in the sacral chakra, Kundalini energy, the coiled serpent at the base of the spine. It is primal, it is sacred, it is the part of the body that holds both power and shame. When Scorpio energy is out of balance, the body will whisper or scream through hormonal swings, pelvic tension, stagnant digestion, repressed libido, or a strange disconnect from your own body's truth. This sign teaches us that the body is not a shell, it is a mirror. What you avoid emotionally, Scorpio buries biologically. Here are some healing practices for Scorpio energy. Womb work and sacral chakra healing. Trauma release therapy or deep tissue massage, get the grief out. Creative expression as an exorcism of stored emotion. Ritual bathing, movement, breath work, anything that invites safety into the body again. If your body could speak the truth you've been too polite to say, what would it scream from your hips, your spine, your blood? Scorpio doesn't decorate. Scorpio arms itself spiritually. The tools of the sign are not cute. They're not for show. They're for shadow walking, mirror facing, cord cutting, and rebirth. Crystals for Scorpio are obsidian, the mirror stone, It cuts illusion. It shields the psyche. It's ideal for shadow work and spiritual protection. Carnelian ignites the sacral fire, restores vitality, and anchors creative and sexual healing. And labradorite, the aurora borealis trapped in stone, strengthens intuition, dream work, and energetic boundary setting. Herbs and allies. Mugwort, the dream weaver, opens the veil and invites ancestral and underworld guidance. Black cohosh, powerful ally for feminine energy, womb wisdom, and emotional depth. Patchouli, grounding, earthy, sensual. It calls the spirit back into the body. Now, these are not trend herbs. These are threshold guardians. Rituals for Scorpio season. Fireball ceremony. Write the pain, the secret, the wound, and then burn it with intention. Anointing ritual. Mix oil with an essential essence like myrrh, patchouli, or clove. Then apply to your sacrum, throat, and heart. Mirror work. Stare into your own eyes. Ask what masks still remain. Then speak the truth until the mask cracks. Scorpio doesn't need more light. It needs more honest darkness. What will you release, reclaim, or resurrect under your own gaze? Scorpio doesn't love halfway. They don't flirt with the idea of forever. They love like it's contract in blood, and yet they trust no one fully, not at first. Scorpio's love language is X-ray vision, seeing through your armor straight into your ghosts. The Scorpio love pattern is test first, trust later. Deep devotion masked as distance. Reading between every word you say and every word you don't. If you lie, they will know. If you betray, they'll burn the bridge and then haunt the ashes. But if you stay through the fire, they will give you a kind of love that rewrites your soul contract. Let's talk about some Scorpio compatibility vibes. Cancer, soft enough to hold the wound, strong enough to love the scar. And I have known many Scorpio Cancer couples, particularly Scorpio women and Cancer men. It seems to work out really well. Pisces, again, that's me, and boy, I have an affinity for those Scorps. The mystics who speak the same underwater language. Taurus, sensual anchors for Scorpio's storm. Capricorn builds what Scorpio dreams. Virgo sees the puzzle, pieces the psyche. Scorpio doesn't care about cliches. They care about depth and durability. To love like a Scorpio is to invite someone into your underworld and still pray they choose to stay. You don't just date a Scorpio, you remember them in your bones. Scorpio is no stranger to masks, not the shallow kind, the deep ritualistic ones. Masks worn for survival, for protection, for control. Because Scorpio's core fear is this: if I am truly seen, I will be betrayed. So instead, they hide in roles. The fixer, the seducer, the silent one, the strategist, the one who saw it coming. But here's the thing. Every mask Scorpio wears eventually melts under their own gaze because they can't lie to themselves forever. The shadow of Scorpio isn't just jealousy, control, or obsession. It's the belief that power protects you from pain. And that belief, it turns love into surveillance, devotion into domination, vulnerability into a trap. What masks are you still wearing that's protecting a wound you could heal? And what would happen if you took it off, even just for yourself? Scorpio isn't here to be perfect. They're here to be whole, which includes the rage, the fear, and the tenderness beneath both. People think Scorpio hides because they're secretive. But often Scorpio hides because no one ever stayed long enough to handle the truth. Scorpio season is a corridor, not a celebration of darkness, but a reclamation of it. In this season, we don't bypass our grief. We don't pretty up the pain. We don't fear what's real. We meet the ghost in the hallway, and we ask what message it still carries. We dig up the old bones, not to mourn, but to remember. And we walk forward, not as the same person who entered, but as someone reborn. Scorpio isn't here to fix your life. They're here to burn down the lie you've been living. They are the guardians of sacred death, of masks, of false attachments, of timelines that no longer serve your soul. But they are also the midwife of your becoming. If you're afraid right now, it means you're standing at the door of your next transformation. So take the key, speak the truth, and walk through. To all my Scorpios, living and beyond, thank you for being the ones who do not flinch when it gets real. To Amy, I carry you in every fire I light. You are still a part of this work. You will always be. And to everyone listening, let this season strip away what was never truly yours, so that what is can finally rise.
To the spirit
Podcast.
supernatural science
Aliens. I'm ghost.
psychic mystic
Spirit.
divine source
heaven.
the dead
It's magic.